Today, I'm using Trello to show you how to build a simple project management system for your Merch by Amazon business. Whether you're just getting started with Merch by Amazon or already in the highest tiers, having well-designed business systems will increase your output and efficiency, decrease the amount of duplicate or repetitive work, as well as open the doors to task automation and outsourcing. My name is Cameron Scott, and I've sold over $1 million of my own products on Merch by Amazon. On this channel, we'll be exploring the strategy and tools to help scale and automate your print-on-demand business. For those not familiar with Trello, Trello is a collaboration software that organizes your projects and tasks into boards, lists, and cards. Each board is like a whiteboard filled with lists of sticky notes, with each note or card being a task and filled with text, photos, documents, or attachments, and a place where you and your teammates can comment and collaborate. Whether you're on your own or collaborating with teammates, Trello is extremely flexible in its design, meaning you can customize it to whatever your needs are. While we'll be using Trello in this video, the ideas and concepts in this video don't just apply to Trello, can apply to a variety of software tools. If you've been at this for a while, these concepts in this video might seem super obvious or basic to you. However, we'll use these ideas and concepts as building blocks for future videos where we'll build more complex systems using Trello as well as other software tools. But if you're new to managing projects and project management software in general, Trello is probably my top choice. Let's jump into Trello and build our first project management system. All right, so we're in Trello and we're going to use a single board for our entire system, which I've already have a blank one here ready to go for us. With having a single board, that means that every task from start to finish is going to be in a single board. So from idea or concept all the way to uploading to Amazon or a platform of your choice. This project management system doesn't only work with Merch by Amazon, it can work with other platforms as well. So we're gonna start off just with a super simple structure, about as simple as you can get, and then we're gonna keep adding to it. Stick around to the end and I'll have a few bonus ideas for you that you can also add to the project management system, but aren't required by any means. I also recommend only making your system as complicated as it needs to be right now. You can always add and change things later, which is why we're using tools like Trello, which make it easy for continuous improvements to our system, which we'll end up talking a lot about. But continuous improvement is a big reason why we're going to use tools like Trello. So to start off, we're just going to start with 3 lists that will designate the status of our cards. And then I'll kind of explain what the system looks like. So we're going to start just real easy. You may have created things like this. But this is what I would consider a Kanban style board, which is kind of what Trello is built around in the first place. But just a simple to do, doing, and done, which designate the status of your cards, which we'll just add one here, design 1, we'll call it. Each card we add will be for a new design or concept starting in the to-do list. So we're going to come up with some ideas here. I'm just going to keep the titles because it doesn't really matter. But these are different ideas or designs that we're going to have. We're going to put them in our to-do list. Once we start working on a design, we're just going to simply move it over to doing. Then once it's uploaded and completed, we're just going to move it to done so we know it's done. You could get away with something like this if you're in tier 10 or any of the lower tiers where there's not a whole lot of management when it comes to assets. Something like this could work fine. All right, let's start adding some designs. I'm just gonna add a couple more here so we get a better idea of what it looks like. And now we're gonna start working on them and filling them out. So design 2, we're gonna start working on. I already have some designs done, so I'm not gonna sit here and create designs. So design 2, let's just find one here. All right, let's say this was Bearded Dragon Grandma. We'll change this title. All right, so now we got Bearded Dragon Grandma. We got our attachment here. You'll notice in the card here, it does show as a cover, which makes it nice to just go through things. You can turn these covers off too if it starts getting a little overwhelming as far as just too many images and so forth. It can be turned off, I believe, under the board settings. And this is where you would also add your title, brand, and bullets too. We only got our to-do, doing, done. So we're gonna do everything happens in the doing. There's a lot going on here. So we need our title, brand, bullet 1, bullet 2. You can do this right here in the description. We can also write it in as a comment as well. You could go either way. With the description, you can end up making some markup, which they show you how to format it here, how to do everything. Like this will bold it, so forth. And you can end up creating some templates out of this too. So we're just gonna drag in grandma. so forth. I'm not going to fill these out, but you get the idea. So then when we save, these are folded, and there's our title that we can end up copying and pasting. Again, this works in the comments as well. I will say the one nice thing with having it in the comments versus the description is you're not going to end up going in here accidentally editing it. So if we just copy and paste this to the comment and save it, you can see here, it's just, we can just easily copy and paste it then. So I would say maybe I prefer this just so you don't accidentally, you go to paste it and you hit something and you just delete all your work. Now we have our title, brand, bullet, and the design's done. It's ready to upload. So from here, we would go into Merch by Amazon, upload it, and then be done with it once it's completely uploaded. Before long, you may find that this is just too simple of a structure where this to-do and doing list just becomes unwieldy. So like with this example here, there's a lot happening. You're creating your design, you're doing your title and bullets, and you're uploading all in one phase here. So it can be a little much. You need more granularity. So let's start by adding some of that granularity here. One of the first things I like to put in here, what I see is missing, is not every idea that ends up going in this to-do list. So let's say you did a whole, day of research, whatever, you just have a ton of stuff in here. Not all these ideas are going to be good ideas worthy of moving to design. So what I like to have is a separate list of ones that are for sure getting designed. And I like somewhere I can just put in my ideas to kind of flesh out later or decide if it is worthy of design or not. So what I'm going to do is add a new list or a step in the process. And I'm just going to call it idea. And this is going to go at the very beginning. I'm just going to drag it over. So now when we add our concepts, they're going to go here. And then if we decide, hey, let's make a design out of this, or it's fleshed out, then we're going to move it over into to do. What you're going to notice about this structure is all these cards always move from left to right. It's like a conveyor belt. All right, so I'm going to add some more ideas and we'll go from there. All right, so I've filled up the board and we got a whole bunch of ideas here. And I started adding them to our to-do list to design. The only problem here is that as we're adding them to our to-do list, this starts getting a little bit too large to manage. And there's times where you want to prioritize certain designs over others, which this isn't going to work, this structure. So what we're going to do is add another list here. So I'm going to just create another list, and just a little tip here. If you just double click underneath a list, it'll add a new list where that one is. And I'm just going to call this up next. So what this does is prioritizes these designs over the ones that are in the to-do list. This can be useful if, let's say, a trend comes up that you need to have designed quickly, or holidays coming up, or maybe it's just a different niche that you want to start attacking before some of these other ones. These would go in the up next list, which is prioritized over to do. So the first ones to get designed will be from this up next list with this kind of structure. So the up next will go in to the doing before the to do. Once these are all gone, then you can start working on the to do. So we have our up next list. This kind of granularity can be applied to other tasks and processes as needed. So you can add additional lists for other things like the doing. We still have a lot going on here with the design, our titles and bullets, as well as the uploading is all still happening in our to-do list. Again, the whole thing works like an assembly line. So every idea is just going to start off as an idea. Then it's going to go from left to right all the way through until it's done. So next we're going to add some additional tasks to the board to give you some ideas on how to build your own systems in Trello. Again, starting simple, don't overcomplicate it if you don't need to. You may not need every single one of these steps. So just kind of think through your systems and what's going to make the most sense for you. If you don't need to produce that many designs, having 15 different steps doesn't really make any sense to have, one or two cards in every single step. Don't add unnecessary complexity, since it is so easy to just add them to your workflow right when you need them. Next, we want to do something between doing and done. Let's start with description writing. So that would be coming right after. I think we're going to rename this. Let's just call this design so that we can separate them. So now we have our ideas, and these are going to go in our to-do list. Anything we prioritize for design is going up next, and then these will move from left to right to design. And then once it's designed, we're just going to pretend this is design. We have a design attached to it. It'll go into our description. So this is where we'll start typing in our title, brand, bullets here in the description, or again in the comments, whatever you want to do. Later on, we'll go over some additional ways you can do this, or some, I guess more like advanced Trello things like custom fields that you can add that can be utilized for this. Now, before we write the description, it might be a good idea that we actually do some keyword research before we just start typing typing in whatever we want there. So that's a good time to do keyword research before you write the description, but after it's designed. So we're going to just add another list. So now our designs, once they're designed, we'll go from design to keyword research. And this would be another area. So again, you can do this as a comment or a description. I think I'm gonna do it as a comment this time. So keywords, this is running. So let's do running. Whatever those keywords would be that you find in your keyword research would go here. And then you have these when it ends up going into description, start writing the description, title, running, track, whatever this design is. We don't actually have a design, but that's what you would do. We get our research, we got our description. Next is done. So the steps here is, I mean, the big one's uploading. So getting this uploaded. You may not want to just write the description and then upload it right away, because this is going to still be sitting in description like it needs one. We want to have an intermediate step here. I'm going to call this one ready to upload. We're going to move it right into here. All right, so we have these descriptions done. As soon as we write the description, these are going to get moved over to ready to upload. So now instead of uploading these one at a time, as we're finishing a description, we're going to have a list of them that we can upload them all at one time. And this is super powerful. One of the best reasons to set up a project management system like this is that you can now batch all of your tasks together, which means you're doing one task all at the same time. You're uploading only designs as your task. You're not doing a design, keyword research, description, and then uploading. You're only going to do one of these tasks at the same time. And you can do this with every single list. This is called batching, another topic that's going to come up pretty frequently. But what batching allows you to do is just make your work more efficient, because you're not switching from task to task. You're not getting distracted or losing focus. There's tons of studies that have been done on this sort of thing, of how long it takes when you switch tasks to get into what's called a flow, or fully focused on that task. It's something like 25 minutes to fully switch. So if you're continually switching from description to upload to keyword research, you're never going to get into that flow and be as efficient as possible. All right, so far this is looking pretty good. You could use this as is, and this would be a pretty good system where we put in our ideas as they come to us. When we validate an idea or decide we do want to proceed with design, we'll move it into do. Prioritize any designs we want to do first with our up next, move them into design when they're ready to design, and then keyword research, description, and our upload list. And then once they're uploaded, they're done. So this is a pretty fleshed out system already. You could use it as is. I think I would want to maybe rename some of these just to make it more clear. So like the design we already did, maybe we'll rename this one to like design in progress, so we can clarify even more. So we know these are ones that are currently being designed. You could also call it ready for design. So whatever kind of makes the most sense. And that's kind of what I want to show you here, is this is all customizable to what works with your workflow, not just with mine. Everyone's going to have a little bit different workflow. So I think it's more important just to understand the concepts behind it than just showing you exactly what I do and you just copy my system, because it's not going to work as well as for you as it does for me. It wouldn't make as much sense. So maybe there's a couple more we can do. Maybe instead of to do, we call this one ready for design. Up next, we could call design next. Keyword research, yeah. Description, ready to upload, and done. Yeah, that's looking great. Now there is one critical thing I think we're missing when it comes to this process for print on demand, and that's some kind of trademark infringement check. There's a couple ways to do this. So it's super important to do some kind of trademark infringement check, so you're not uploading designs that can get you in trouble or your account jeopardized. So one thing we could do is a TM check right before we upload. So make sure our descriptions look good, the design looks good. So we can call this a TM check. We can do that right before we're ready to upload. So these would go through our design, keyword research, our description, and then they would sit in TM check to then check them all at once, again, as another batch task. The only issue with this here is that you could end up spending a lot of time on a design or paying someone else to design something that you end up finding was trademarked or infringing in some fashion after that was already done. So you wasted money or time on all this. It's still a good idea to do right before, but you may want to consider adding another trademark check before you even design. So before a concept is ready for design, we may want to do another trademark check here before that. So we got some ideas. We're going to just check those to make sure these are okay to proceed with before we spend the time or money on the design. And then we'll continue with the rest of our workflow here. And you could change these, another term might be like quality control check, or or QC check. So we could do something like that. In that process, I mean, these processes are tasks. Each step is kind of whatever you want to make it. Whatever this quality control check task, it can consist of whatever you want it to be. Same thing with all those. It could be multiple tasks in one, or it can be as granular as you need to. Again, whatever makes sense for your workflow. And again, you can adjust it over time. So don't get too hung up on making it perfect or too complex at this point. It's more important to just have a system that you can work to make everything more efficient, and so you're organized and you keep track of everything. The worst thing is to just willy-nilly put up your designs and they end up getting lost on your computer. Here, if you're starting off here, you'll at least have all of your designs right here on a board. You know where they're at. So it's a great way to get started with this simple project management system. So one other thing I really like about this system, and this may apply more when you start outsourcing or have other staff working on tasks, not just you, but what it does is gives you a visual of if there's any bottlenecks in your processes. So if you see any one of these tasks starting to get filled up or not move as fast as some of these other ones, it makes it very obvious versus the rest to see if there's any bottlenecks. And it's just as simple as just looking at the list. Like I said, it's a very easy visual to see where everything's at in your process and if anything held up, and then you can change it. You can do something about it to relieve those bottlenecks. From here, you can customize this board to fit the tasks and processes that you use and add and change these tasks as your business grows and changes. Coming up in future videos, we'll dive more into Trello's more advanced features such as labels and custom fields and their own automation features, which will allow you to build even more powerful project management systems. So make sure to subscribe if that's something you're looking for. That way you're notified when those come out. As a bonus for all of you that made it here till the end, I have a few other ideas that you can add to your Trello boards. The first idea, something I found pretty useful using Trello, is I like to have an on hold list. And this is going to be at the very beginning here. I put this one at the beginning as a catch-all for any ideas or designs that I don't want to progress any further in our workflow at the moment, but I don't really want to delete them either. So this may be something that needs more infringement research, or it's a niche that might be a little risky based on what's going on. Whatever that may be, I've found a lot of uses for it to where I can take a design out of the process and just put it on hold for the time being. And that may be an idea or wherever it is at in the process. I've found that useful. Bonus two, another list or task that I found useful is at the very end, what I call an archive list. So what I found with Trello is as you start filling it up with attachments and so forth, that the boards can kind of get bogged down with just having too much stuff. So when you're having, you have dozens and hundreds of designs, it can easily happen. If you only have a few, again, you're in that tier 10, 25, 100, probably not going to run into it too much. But once you do, it does really start to slow down. So what I like to do is move anything that's done or after a certain period of time or whatever that schedule looks like, I'll move these to archive. And what's cool about an archive list is, or just any list in general, is that any cards in a list, you can move all of them instead of doing individually. You can move them all at once by moving the entire list. So once this archive list gets filled up, it's starting to bog down, I'll actually create a new board, which I've already done. And I'm going to just move this list to another board. So archive, boom, done. Take a look here. If we just move to archive, there it is. So that list got moved back to our board. And then you just create another archive list and you'll move that one when it fills up. And last idea for you, another one that I found useful is having a niches list. So this is separate from ideas. The ideas I like to have is a little more fleshed out concepts for design. So it might be the actual phrase that we're going to put on a shirt or whatever that looks like, where niches are going to be the more broad niches, which are actually what I've put here. These are really just niches, but these can be niches that you are actively working on or just as ideas. I found it helpful to be able to go back and look through niches that I've brainstormed earlier. And again, there's some more advanced things that we can get into later on as far as like labels and so forth that can make these even more powerful, as well as multiple boards as well. That's it for this first video. If you'd like to see more of this content, let me know in the comments and make sure to join our free Facebook group that's linked in the description.